Welcome back to the deep dive, where we cut through the static to get you straight to the insights that, well, truly matter. Today, we're plunging into something that, let's be honest, impacts your daily life more than almost any other spec on a smartphone: battery performance. And we're focusing specifically on the brand new iPhone 17 lineup. Apple always grabs headlines with sleek designs, maybe some dazzling AI features. But the real unsung hero, or maybe surprising compromise, often lies within that power source. So, our mission today is to strip away the marketing gloss. We want to reveal what's genuinely new with these batteries. We'll separate the significant leaps forward from some unexpected trade offs Apple seems to have made. Okay, let's unpack this.
And this is just incredibly critical, isn't it? Because for every one of us, battery life isn't just another number on a spec sheet anymore. It fundamentally dictates how you use your device day to day, how much anxiety you might carry about finding an outlet, and whether your phone can truly be that all day companion you need it to be. There's always this perpetual tension in device design, right? How do you perfectly balance raw processing power, the desire for a beautiful thin phone, and enough battery capacity to keep up with apps that just seem to demand more and more power? What's really fascinating with this new lineup is how it reveals Apple's highly segmented approach. They seem to be tailoring battery performance to very specific user profiles. It's not really a one-size-fits-all improvement this year. So yeah, this deep dive should really eliminate Apple's specific and actually quite varied strategy for each new model in the iPhone 17 lineup.
Absolutely. And when we talk about wins, well, we have to start with the Pro models because they are getting some serious power boosts. It really feels like Apple heard the calls from power users on this one. Let's kick off with the big one: the iPhone 17 Pro Max. It now packs a massive 5,088 milliamp battery. Just to clarify for anyone maybe new to these numbers, milliampere hour, it's basically a measure of the battery's total energy capacity. Think of it like how much juice it can hold. So 5,088 milliamp. That's about 8.6% larger than its predecessor, the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now, what does that translate to in your daily life? Well, noticeably longer video playback, sure, but maybe more importantly, fewer of those annoying midday scrambles for a charger. You know the feeling. Imagine going from home to work through your evening plans and still having enough power left to scroll social media before bed without a second thought. My old phone used to give me anxiety just looking at it after lunch sometimes.
Yeah, that anxiety reduction is actually a huge psychological benefit for users, isn't it? You're not just buying the bigger number on a spec sheet, you're buying peace of mind. And like you said, that 8.6% increase in raw capacity for the Pro Max, that's substantial for extending those long usage periods. But what's maybe even more remarkable, as our sources are emphasizing, is how Apple seems to have applied that thinking, that push for endurance, to the smaller Pro model too.
Exactly, because the iPhone 17 Pro, the slightly more compact of the two Pros, actually got the biggest jump proportionally. We're talking nearly 19% more capacity than the iPhone 16 Pro. That feels like a massive leap for a smaller Pro model. It suggests Apple really listened to users who wanted top-tier performance, but maybe didn't want the absolute biggest phone, yet still needed all-day power in a more manageable size. They really made a statement here, I think, for those who prefer a handier device but still demand that professional-grade endurance. And Apple's official claims reflect this too: up to 39 hours of video playback on the Pro Max and a really impressive 33 hours on the Pro. So yeah, the question is, what's truly behind these numbers? Is it just physically bigger batteries jammed into the phone, or is there something else going on under the hood?
Well, what's fascinating here, and our sources really highlight this, is that it's not just about physically cramming a larger battery in. I mean, that definitely helps. It's a big part of it. But a major portion of these improvements apparently comes from the A19 chip's efficiency. This points to that deeper synergy between hardware and software optimization that Apple is, frankly, renowned for. Imagine the chip not just processing tasks faster, but doing so with, like, a meticulous attention to power consumption. So this could mean improved core designs that sip power more carefully, maybe optimized task scheduling so background stuff doesn't drain the battery unnecessarily, and probably better standby management, keeping your phone alive longer when you're not actively using it. For you, the listener, this synergy translates directly into real-world impact. We're talking more actual screen on time, longer gaming sessions without constantly glancing at that battery icon, and genuinely all-day use, even for people who push their devices incredibly hard. Think content creators, business travelers on video calls all day, students using their phone for everything. This seems like Apple trying to solve that real-world battery anxiety problem with a two-pronged attack: more capacity and smarter power management.
Right, that A19 chip efficiency sounds like a genuine game changer. It turns those bigger batteries into even more practical, usable power throughout your day. It's not just raw power, it's smart power, like you said. Okay, so moving away from the Pro models for a second, let's talk about the regular iPhone 17. It didn't get quite the dramatic overhaul of its Pro siblings, but it definitely wasn't left behind either. The standard iPhone 17 saw a solid, if smaller, boost to its battery. It went from 3,561 milliamp in the previous model up to 3,692 milliamp. That's about a 3.7% increase in capacity. We'd probably frame that as a small but, important improvement. It ensures that even the base model benefits from some enhanced endurance, offers a little extra breathing room in your day-to-day use. It's not going to blow anyone away, maybe, but it maintains that expectation of reliable all-day performance for the average user.
Yeah, it feels like a very pragmatic move for the standard model. Apple's likely aiming for a sweet spot there, providing a noticeable, okay, maybe modest, improvement in endurance without jacking up production cost too much or significantly altering the phone's design. This lets them maintain a competitive price point while still offering a slightly better experience than last year's model. And it also clearly differentiates it from the Pro models. Right? Those are engineered for maximum performance and battery life, which helps justify their higher price. So it ensures that clear tiering in the lineup, appealing to different market segments based on needs and budget. It speaks again to that highly segmented strategy we mentioned earlier.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah, keeping the tiers distinct. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, and maybe, depending on your priorities, a little controversial. We have to talk about the new iPhone 17 Air. This is where Apple introduces a pretty unexpected twist to the lineup, and it really highlights the design philosophy they're embracing for a specific type of user. So the Air model comes in noticeably lighter and thinner than its counterparts, almost whisper thin, apparently. And while that sounds fantastic for portability, aesthetics, slipping unnoticed into a pocket or bag, it comes with a pretty significant compromise. In the battery department, the iPhone 17 Air has only 3,149 milliamp. Now, to put that into perspective, that's significantly smaller than the battery in the iPhone 16 Plus model, which clocked in at a hefty 4,674 milliwatt. We're talking a capacity reduction of over 30%. That's a huge drop in raw battery capacity. So this really begs the question, what does this strategic decision from Apple signify? Why this particular trade-off, especially when the other models are getting such big battery bumps?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it seems abundantly clear what's happening. With the Air model, Apple is making a very deliberate choice. They are betting heavily on efficiency rather than raw battery size for this particular device. It's a design-first philosophy, clearly prioritizing that sleek, lightweight profile above, well, maybe maximum all-day power. It's almost like Apple saying, you want this featherweight phone. You might have to pack a featherweight charger too, perhaps. It's kind of a stark reminder that physics still applies, even to Apple's engineering. There are inherent trade-offs. Between that desirable, super thin design and the kind of long-lasting battery life many users have come to expect, especially maybe from those previous Plus models, which were known for endurance. This segment, the Air, it's clearly targeted at users who value extreme portability, that minimalist feel, maybe above absolute endurance. So for those of you listening who love the long-lasting power of the iPhone 16 Plus, the Air it might indeed feel like a significant step back in endurance. It simply won't offer the same kind of sustained power for heavy use throughout a really long day.
And this raises a really important personal question, doesn't it? Is a slimmer profile, a device that feels almost weightless in your hand or pocket, is that worth less battery life for your specific daily needs and usage patterns? It's a fundamental choice Apple is asking its customers to make here. It's a fascinating insight into how they view different consumer priorities, I think.
That is such a critical question, and it really highlights the diverse strategies Apple is using across this new lineup. It's not just about what technology can do, but what design choices they choose to make, which then influences how you interact with your device. So just to briefly recap the varied battery story for the iPhone 17 lineup, we're seeing significant gains for the Pro and Pro Max models, driven by both larger batteries and that A19 chip efficiency. There's a solid, smaller bump for the regular iPhone 17, maintaining its reliable performance. And then there's this notable compromise for the new Air model, where sleekness clearly trumps raw battery capacity. So what does all of this mean for you when you're thinking about an upgrade? Our sources seem pretty clear. If you're a current Pro or Pro Max user and battery life is a key factor for you, then this upgrade with its larger capacities and that chip efficiency, it sounds absolutely worth it. You're getting a substantial improvement that should genuinely change your daily experience. However, if you're eyeing that iPhone 17 Air, it just fundamentally represents a trade-off, full stop. It's sleekness and portability versus sustained all-day power. Your decision will hinge entirely on your personal priorities.
Precisely. At the end of the day, what our deep dive into the sources really reveals is that Apple has genuinely made battery life a headline feature again, at least across much of this new lineup. But, and this is key, with very distinct strategies for different models, it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all improvement this year. And that's the crucial takeaway, I think. For you, the listener, it means it's probably more important than ever to critically assess your own usage patterns and priorities when considering an upgrade. Are you a power user who absolutely needs maximum endurance for demanding tasks, gaming, video editing, constant communication? Or do you maybe prioritize a light, thin device that's just super easy to carry and use one-handed above all else? Perhaps you're okay supplementing with a portable charger if needed. That question becomes particularly sharp when looking at the Air's design-first approach. It really challenges the assumption that every new iPhone must have better battery life across the board.
Absolutely. And maybe just beyond the raw numbers and the what does this diverse approach to battery design and the iPhone 17 lineup tell us about the future of mobile technology itself? Are we entering an era where we as consumers will increasingly be asked to explicitly choose between form and function, between sleek aesthetics and just robust all-day power? We're definitely seeing a clear fork in the road here with Apple's strategy, reflecting different segments of users with very different needs. It really leaves you to consider what's your personal worth it factor for battery life when you weigh it against thinness or maybe other cutting edge features. It's a fascinating dilemma, one that will likely only grow more complex as devices get more powerful and designs perhaps even more daring. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the iPhone 17 batteries. We hope it helps you make an informed decision or maybe just rethink your own tech priorities a little bit.